Hi guys, we love you here. I'm going to talk about the Dr. Phil show that was aired on the 11th of March 2019, which was yesterday. Okay, I didn't watch it because, well, until now, I watched some of it because I work second shift. But before I make this video, I'm just gonna say a few things. Okay, I don't do live chats. I haven't done one yet. So when I make my videos, I talk like I would be doing a live chat. I kind of go back and forth a little bit, and I don't do no 5-hour, marathons on a video like some people do, and they keep talking about the same thing over and over again. They keep going back and forth. Lots of people asking questions on this, on that, and coming up with their scenarios and their thoughts and, how it all went down. And their opinions. Well, that's what I do in my video. Now, when I make a video, at the end, I always say, let's have a discussion on your thoughts and, keep it friendly. Right. Okay, with that being said, there are comments when people come on. I kind of chuckle at them, really, because they don't bother me. But they kind of chuckle me because, they make so stupid comments sometimes. You know how it is. You go, that's what it's like everywhere, on every channel. But that people that are following a case, and then some people have done a video on this and a video on that, and then they go back and forth a little bit because new information comes up and you kind of give a little bit more update. But when we're following this case, most of us understand what's going on. We understand why we are saying this stuff. It might be new, it might be old. So we have a little discussion on it. Now, we've all heard the same thing. Most of us following this case have heard what I've heard. And maybe they heard a little bit more. Like everybody listening something, they say, oh my God, I didn't hear that. Let me go back on that. Or they took it a different way. They heard it different. Because that does happen. Okay. That's why we have these discussions. I've got like a discussion room, a little channel. We can make comments and give our points of view. And that's fine. That's fine with me. And it's been pretty good, actually. The comments and that, and thank you everybody that makes comments and keeps it nice, as a discussion in our own opinions, because we all have one. And we're not always right. No, it's just your opinion. It's just the way you think it went down. That's okay. That's your opinion. And I don't have a problem with that, but some people have a problem with that because they're always right. And those people are always right. And you're wrong. And they say it when they think they're the only ones that's heard it. Do you know what I mean? Oh my God, they didn't say that. Well, they did say it. And, where did you hear that from? Well, some people, when you're into a case, you see information, you look it up, or you just hear little bits here and little bits there. And they are true. Because a few people said, where did you hear that? And I say, there's a lot of people that are asked the same thing, not just me. Where'd you get your information from? Well, some people, I don't have any sources or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Or, undercover agents or anything like that. It's just some things I'm like, damn, I can't believe that happened. And I've read it. but not everybody's heard it because they're not looking for anything. Some people don't look up cases too much. They go on people's channels and hear it from them. You know, they don't like to read too much. They just like to listen to the story, listen to somebody else telling it. And everybody has facts out there that are confirmed, and there are rumors out there that turn out to be true and confirmed. So when people make their videos, sometimes they're predicting this to be so, which is true, but it's not a lie, okay? And some people say, well, I've had them say that to me, that I haven't even got a clue what the hell I'm talking about. And they said, have you listened to the tapes? Have you listened to watched the videos? Have you, like, watched the case? I'm like, oh my God. Do you know what I mean? You'd be like, of course I have, you know, but I'm having my own opinion, and you might not agree with what I say. But when I do my videos, I am saying what's going on. But it's my channel, and I'll say it my way. I'll speak it my way too. Like I got a bit of an accent. And I flip from, you know, my accent flips in and out. You know, my American and English. That's because I've been in America for so long. Over 32 years. So, yes, my accent's gonna fade in, you know, in and out. So, and then I live in Wisconsin, and they got a funny accent here. Wisconsin's got an accent. And it's a little Irish as well. And it's, there's a lot of Native Americans here. Native Indian Americans. And if you ever heard one, you'd understand. So, that being said, I would just like to say, when I make my videos, I'm talking like I'm on a live, but I'm not. Because if you watch people's lives, how they, you know, their live chats I'm talking about, that is, and you know how they do their live chats. They're have drama, they talk about this, they talk about that, they argue a little bit on if they agree, if they not agree, but, you know, so I will just do my videos how I choose to do it. And this is how I do it. And a lot of people do it that way. Now, I'm not a professional, so just let you understand that. Now, I have to say this again. When I am talking, please do not take everything I say literally. Oh my God, it does, I don't know, it bugs me. I know it bugs a lot of people. And then I had a comment that I smack my lips. Now, I don't really know if I'm smacking my lips. I never noticed that before. But sometimes, maybe I'm tutting or something. I don't know. But anyway, this person said they only could watch 2 minutes of my video. Yeah, I'll give them a shout out, but I'm not using their name. That they only could watch my video because I was smacking my lips so much that they couldn't stand it. Now, guys, I've never heard anybody say I'm smacking my lips. But anyway, that's one comment I got. So I have to have a little chuckle about that. So, you know, when people do their live videos, you know, there's lots of things that irritate people. It just, and then, believe me, they get it too. But, you know, I smack my lips. So if I'm smacking my lips, guys, my mateys, let me know. And now I'm going to have a sip of coffee and wet my lips. And smoke a cigarette. So you might hear me, you know, inhaling and all that. But you got to remember this, guys. The mic picks up every single thing you do. Every single thing. It picks up every single sound. So, anyway, let's get on with this video with Dr. Phil and the Ruseks. You know, Sandy, Frank, and Frankie. Now, I'm just going to flip-flop on this because I was listening to it, so I'm just going to bring up some other stuff. It's all that you've heard, and or may not have heard. I don't know how many of you have listened to the video, but as we know, there's lots of commercials in that. Dr. Phil, you know, he's for the ratings and the views. And it's like, you know, some people on YouTube, you know, they monetize it and put ads every 5 minutes. Oh, but anyway, I think Sandy spoke a lot. She was mostly the person that was the most heartbreaking. Well, it's a heartbreaking case, but she was talking about her feelings. You know, her feelings about what happened, and that her daughter came to her, and you know that Sandy's daughter Shanann came to her after death. And when she said after death, she meant she felt her right after she passed, because she did say that she knew something was wrong. Something is terribly wrong. And this is why she frantically was trying to get a hold of her and calling everybody she could in Colorado, you know, to go check on her, And I think that you all say it was, well, not you guys, but, you know, a lot of people saying that it was her friend Nicole that got the ball rolling. Thank God for her. But really, you know, it was Sandy that got the ball rolling. She's the one that got the search party out. She's the one that started calling everywhere. Yes, she was the one that got the ball rolling. And so maybe we should be thanking her mother for having this sixth sense, you know, of believing life after death. Because it seems like, you know, her daughter came to her right after death, and she had in the pit of her stomach that something is wrong with her. Now, she didn't know that at the time, and they thought, oh, she was just worrying. And she said, no, something is up. Yeah, that is true, guys, because I've had those feelings in the past too. Sometimes they come to you. Some people come to you with this, when you get this pit in your stomach that something is just not right. Anyway, guys, that was the hardest part for her. Was Sandy, was the way Chris. This is Chris's story. You got to remember this, guys. It's Chris's story, whether we believe it or not. It's Bella. It's Bella. That's what I said too. Bella having to watch from the beginning to the end. And then the second part was mainly for her was putting the children in the oil. She can't understand why. And she also says he has a dark side. You know, like he got no emotions. She also says he was an amazing man, and so did his wife think he was an amazing man. You know, they never thought he had such evil in him. And that's what a lot of people say, you know, when they find out that they annihilate their whole family for no reason, no good reason, with, you know, no violence and all that and the other, where you could see, well, maybe you could see it coming, you know. The affair, you know, when they talk about his sex 4 times a day or something like that. She also talks about, you know, Nicole Kissinger video that she made, you know, audio and everything. A few statements that she made was that she was wanting her own family. She was wanting her dream, nobody else's dream of having kids. She had stated that Chris has already done that, been there, got it all. And she wanted to feel that. She wanted to feel what it's like between a man and woman to have their first baby. This is kind of how she was speaking. And she wants her own wedding. Now, that's what Nicole said in one of her interviews. She wants her own wedding. So more or less, and then that's the point when she told him that she didn't know if Chris was the man of her dreams. It was too early in the relationship. But of course, as we know, she discussed it with him though, didn't she? She was looking on Google. She was doing all these things. Now, she may not have been looking for a wedding dress for her and Chris to be married in. She may have just been looking. No. That's just a statement. That's just a statement I'm saying. But anyway, guys. That was just a few of her words that she said in her interview. As we know, we probably listened to her interviews. And she just don't make sense herself. And then, of course, Chris saying that she's bipolar. Chris said he had to calm her down. How many times? Well, it seems like he had to calm her down maybe 12, 20 times. I don't know. It was quite a lot that these outbursts that she had. And Chris wasn't like that. He never had outbursts like that. And he calmed her down. Now, we don't really know what set her off. Or is she like that with a lot of guys that she dated? Is she like that with her friends? She have mental breakdowns because she's bipolar. And do we know if NK is on medication, you know, for this disorder? We don't know that. We don't know if she's taking medication because she's bipolar or why she has these outbursts. It wasn't really stated much. But anyway, a few that, you know, this was brought up in either video, you know, of what Chris Watts said on his interview. Now, she was, Sandy also talks about the TV interview by The Garage on the 13th. And, of course, Sandy told him before that about making, it must have been his first video interview he did, because she said, because she see it on TV, and she said, don't do that. I wouldn't do that if I was you. But she thanks God that he did do it, because look where it ended up. Look where he ended up, and look at all that good information he gave. And when she heard it, when she heard him talking, because he carried on, it was a trigger. It set her off and made her heart miss a beat, because she says Chris has done something. He has done something. They all say, all three of them said he was acting weird. He was acting not himself. With his arm crossed and rocking, you know, all that kind of stuff. So we all seen the interview by the garage. We all seen that. So they talk a little bit about that. How strange he was acting. That's not Chris. That's not Chris. You know. And we all know what he was saying. You know, the house is like a ghost town. He wishes they would come back. He's missing them already. You know, even though they were gone for 5 weeks. And he was having such a good time with his mistress. And that's the reason why he stayed at the home, because he didn't have to look at the pictures that reminded him that he was a married man with children. So, that's what Chris said. And, so, that was when they didn't believe a word that came out of his mouth. And of course, I told you before that she had a sixth sense that something has happened to her daughter even before she knew it. That morning, that very morning. And Sandy believes that when she died, that's when she got the message from her daughter that she is dead. You know, kind of thing. So, and another thing they pointed out was the truck. And I think the neighbor said something about the truck too. That Chris never backs his truck. Never backs it up to the garage. Never. So, and of course Sandy might probably know that he never does that. He never does that because he's not allowed to do it. Or for some reason that they didn't want oil all over on the ground. You know, oil stains and stuff like that. There was, I think, that was a statement that somebody said that Shannon said that's why he's not to have his truck on their driveway. Because, you know, he parks it on the road, you know, by the house. Which is kind of strange because everybody else that's got a driveway, a 2.5 car garage, you always park your cars on the driveway, don't you? I mean, most people do. Trucks and cars. So, but anyway, that was another thing she brought up. Sandy, and they all do, I think, believe that the affair changed Chris. It changed him. That this woman is more or less the reason why he did what he did. And also Chris says that himself. He also says that if it wasn't for her, if only he did this, if only he went to the Rookies game that night and didn't go out to dinner and use his credit card to pay for it. Or, you know, Chris came up with those excuses too. And Chris also said, you know, if only I could have made this work. But that's a funny statement coming from Chris, because all this time, for months now, months before, he was saying his marriage was over. He was kind of saying it before he met Nicole. Before he started dating her, he was saying, I want out of this marriage, this ain't working, I don't want this marriage. You know, he was saying that because he made statements to that. Whether it was true or not, he made those statements. And then he says, if only I just went and tried to make this marriage work, I would have a lovely, beautiful wife and 2 little girls and a baby boy, and I wouldn't be here where I am today. Yes, all murderers can say that. All murderers wish their life back. Yeah, he's wishing his life back. And he wishes that he may have done it different, because he wouldn't have got so many years in prison. More or less, he wouldn't have got so many years in prison. So, and then we talked about, Nicole's outbursts that Chris Watts said she had. And don't they talk a little bit about Nicole? They asked, do you hear from her? If Nicole was writing to him, she wasn't using her real name. Or was she? Because the jail, the prison he's in, are they allowed to take those letters and use them as evidence? Or can they be released? Because now he's a prisoner serving life. Would they do that? They may only do that if it states something in there like, yeah, thank you for doing that for me, keeping me out of this crime, even though I helped you. Who's going to write that in the letter? So anyway, they were probably watching his letters, because apparently they are allowed to have their mail and read their letters, but they're not allowed to keep them. They're not allowed to keep their letters, but in fact, I didn't know that they couldn't keep their letters, because I thought people in prison keeps their letters. So I don't know if you have to be in prison a certain amount of years before you can keep your letters. I don't know. But that was said at some point, that they read them and then they take their letters back from them. So they talk a little bit about that. Well, Chris talks a little bit about that, and, the investigators did ask, and he says, well, if she does write to me, she's would be using a different name. What? Using a different name. And he doesn't know that it's her talking to him. Is he wishful thinking? Or has she really wrote to him? And like people are saying that she's wrote to him and he really knows who it is, and they're secretly talking in code. Yes. Do you think that she's writing to him and they're both... I don't know how many people he's writing to, but he can write to people. But it's going to cost him money. It's going to cost him money to write to people, so he's going to choose them wisely. So, do you think she's writing to him in code? He's trying to keep her out of it. He doesn't really want to discuss her. And they never really pushed the issue anyway. Well, they kind of pushed the issue about Nicole in a roundabout way. They were trying to get information, but that part was hard to get out of him, because I think he's been hurt by her, and he knows what she said about him, and he knows something she's lying about. He knows she's lying. He knows she's lying. But I think he's heard the hurtful things that she said about him. Well, she has a right to say those things about him. But who knows what's true? Who's telling the truth? Who's telling the truth exactly? Now, they say that, like the case is over. He's been found guilty. And she's not being investigated no further. But are they secretly investigating her? What do they know? Because a lot of this stuff didn't go no further because there wasn't no trial. There wasn't no trial, so they didn't try to, they didn't have to make a case. They didn't have to look through every single piece of evidence. Now, we believe they probably had burner phones, because he mentioned burner phones. And she did have several phones. And she did tell him to do this and do that. Now, the part where she said, Nicole said that she had just told her friend that she's dating this married man. And this is when she told Chris to shut down his Facebook because she didn't want her friends knowing that it was Chris, because this is the truth of this part of it, is because she never did tell the friend what Chris Watts' name was. She never told the friend. Remember? We go back and she said she told him, and he works at my job, and she never told that person his name. Now, we know that because that's what she said. So, shutting his Facebook down, how would they look for him and find out who he was if they don't know his name? The only way they would do that if she is talking to him on Facebook. Well, you don't have to talk to each other on Facebook, do you? You stay off of Facebook and just keep texting and calling each other. So that part I don't understand. The real reason for shutting your account down a week or before the deaths. That part is not making sense to me at all. So, Sandy does say, well, Chris Watts did say that he doesn't take medication. He doesn't take any psych meds. And he says he refuses them. But they are not making him take any kinds of meds. Now, we think that, see, Chris don't think he's mentally ill, you see. He doesn't think he's depressed or mentally ill or crazy, insane. It's normal for him. The way he's thinking is normal. Now, if Chris was acting like he's on suicide watch, he'd be having some meds. But remember, when he was in Colorado, he was on suicide watch. He was on suicide watch. But now he knows better not to go back on suicide watch. So he's not going to take any medication. But that's what he says. And the truth of it is, we don't know if he's on medication, because they're not going to tell anybody if he's on medication or not. Because I guess that's personal. They're not going to tell anybody. They don't need to. So, anyway, that's what he says. He's not on medication. And Sandy says, he took away our life. And, he took away their life. But he also, doing that, took away our life. And Sandy says that she wanted to commit suicide. She wanted to end her life. She wanted to be with her daughter and her grandbabies. That's how much she loved them. But her faith kept her from doing that, from taking her own life. And then she would leave, and then, by doing that, she would leave her husband behind, and then she'd leave her son behind, and maybe her future grandchildren, because her son might meet a woman and have children of his own one day. And that would be something to look forward to. Well, she might not have said those words. I'm just saying those words, but that is a true fact, isn't it? It's not just my opinion. That is true. If she did something like that, she would be killing the husband and her only son. That would be hurtful too, because even though her daughter's dead, she still has a son. You wouldn't want to make him feel like he was not loved neither. Now that's my opinion. So it's just, but that was her rough time. Do you know what I mean? That was her rough time. She hit rock bottom, and that was a rough time for her. And many people probably feel that way too. But like we say, life has to go on. If you have family and you have a husband and another child that loves you too, you've lost a daughter, but you haven't lost everybody. They say it's harder for the living to go on living when somebody else is gone. It's hard each day, and then especially if you can't get over the death. They can't get over the death. Something new comes out every day, and this is just this latest thing of what he has told them is worse than they ever imagined. They were just getting over the part where he strangled them in their sleep, which they thought was disgusting. But they said, but it wasn't the worst. The worst was to come. And believe me, it's more disgusting than the first story. The second, how many stories he told before, how many lies he told before about everything. Sandy also says that that was her daughter, and those kids, her grandbabies, they were hers. They were mine. She also has said that those grandbabies were hers. She also states that she spent 15, 16 months at that house. They moved there to help out, and they wanted to move there. But I also think it's her dad, the husband, Frank. He's the one that didn't want to move to Colorado and live there permanently, because it's expensive to live there. But I think it wasn't just that. He didn't want to live in Colorado. So I think that's the reason why they moved back to North Carolina, because Frank didn't want to live there permanently. And maybe he found it hard there. You know, hard to work, hard to get a job, you know, hard to make a living. Whatever their reasons were. It wasn't his dream to move to Colorado. So they lived in that house, and obviously the mother loved it. But we also know what Chris said about that. You know, the in-laws living there. You know, no privacy. You know, and after a while, even though it's a big house, you kind of get on top of each other, don't you? Because you want your life. You don't want everybody in your house living there. But it was okay for a little while, but, you know, Chris said it was a bit too long. It was time they moved out, more or less. That's what he said. And then plus, you know, Chris did say about the relationship and him, you know, the in-laws, or maybe the mother, you know, Sandy, trying to do what she wanted to do with the kids, you know, with their do this, do that, do this, do that. You know, like kind of taking over. Like, you got to keep out, you know, when you were brought up, it was this way. Now, these kids are being brought up this way, you know. And sometimes he didn't want to do that. Like when she said, rub all this stuff on their feet, do this and that. Chris said he didn't want to do that. But Shannon said, go on, do it. You know, it's an old remedy for this, remedy for that. You know, I don't know. Chris made a big thing about it, I guess. I thought some things were strange. But he did say that, you know, she's a good cook. She's a very good cook. So, this is part 1 of this video. I'll make another part 2. Let's have your thoughts and your discussion and your opinions on the Dr. Phil, the second part, where the Rusicks have their interview, Frank, Sandy, and Frankie. And, well, that's it, really. I mean, everybody's talking about it. So, let's just have a discussion and your thoughts about it. And thank you for stopping by.